Welcome to Haywood's on the Green in Mill Hall, and welcome to the new incarnation of the LHU Coaches Show. We will be with you for a half an hour. I'm Jonathan Schwab. For those of you who are with us on Tuesday night at Haywood's on the Green, thank you for joining us. And for those of you tuning in on the Bear Country Sports Network, we are thrilled to have you with us either way. If you are listening on the Bear Country Sports Network, we are 1 hour away from Lock Haven University football as the Bald Eagles open the 2016 season on the road at Clarion. We will be doing this over the next 6 months, coming to Haywood's every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. If you want to see the show filmed live, you can also hear it during football season, and we'll continue to do it during the winter as well. But during football season, you can hear the show 1 hour before kickoff every week before the LHU football game. Again, I'm Jonathan Schwab, and new show. Let's get started with a new head coach, and let's give a warm welcome to new Lock Haven University head women's soccer coach, Kathy Brown. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Kathy, you were hired over the summer. You've been coaching women's soccer for a long time. Every year has to be a little bit different and a little bit similar. What's that new season feeling like for you?
Well, I love being new. I've been coaching for a long time, and I think being new here is exciting and refreshing, and a new time for us to start to make some changes here. And the girls have been great and welcoming, and I'm ready to go to get some soccer games on the board and some wins, hopefully.
What was the transition like for you?
The transition has been good as far as the team goes. I think that was my biggest thing, stepping in. When you have a coaching change, it's huge to be able to work yourself in and be welcomed. And they've been hardworking and open arms for me, along with, all the staff that I work with. So that's been awesome.
When you met with the players for the first time, what was your message to them?
I think that when I met with them for the first time, I don't know if it was my message to them as much as I wanted to hear from them. And I think that's my coaching style, being open and what do they need from me. And so my first meeting was probably more about them and what they needed than what I was going to tell them that I wanted out of them. We save that for now when we're training and working hard and that sort of thing.
How did you develop that coaching philosophy?
It has probably evolved in 20 plus years of coaching women. I think girls are different, and I think that maybe parenting has changed my coaching style a little bit, figuring out like kids are different, they're motivated differently, and I think women play for each other, and if you don't get that and figure that out, you can teach them all the soccer you want to teach them, but if they're not playing for each other, you're never going to win games.
How does that balance benefit you between the professional side, being a head coach at the university level, and then having the family when the day's done?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I think for any working mom out there, they understand you're pulled in many directions, and I think a day doesn't go by where I don't feel like, I can't be the best coach I want to be or the best mom I want to be, because your time is pulled in both directions. But we can only do as much as we can do and give them our hearts and souls and work ethic and hope for the best there.
We are enjoying the LHU Coaches Show from Haywood's on the Green. We'll be here every Tuesday night. For those of you listening on the Bear Country Sports Network, we are closing in on the 5:30 pregame for Lock Haven University football as they open 2016 at Clarion. With LHU head women's soccer coach Kathy Brown right now. Kathy, what is the identity you want to forge with this program?
Classy, not sassy. I think that I have some changes to make and some things where we want to play good, hard, quality soccer, and I want it to be classy. I think that, and my girls will understand what that means. Hopefully all of you out there will come to some games and see what that means. But I think we want to be respected for how we work hard and how we show up and how we play, but also how we present ourselves on and off the field.
You had the opportunity in the preseason to compete in exhibition against the Papua New Guinea U20 team. How did that come about?
Yeah, I think that the Penn State coaches actually shot me an email, and they were our connection there, which is a great connection to have. They've got a fantastic soccer program over there, and they were just looking for some opportunities to play. And I said, "Heck yeah, bring it on! Let's do this." And it was good for my girls. It was good for them both as far as soccer goes, and just the experience to get to play with girls that are coming from another country. That's a great opportunity for them.
As the preseason comes to a close, what do you feel you've accomplished over the course of the preseason?
I think our biggest thing, and it was important, was just the chemistry of the team and the team building. I think, preseason is meant to work really hard and fitness and condition and just kind of bust their butts, if I can say that on the radio.
And, you can.
All right, well, I'll say that. But it's also a time for them to come together as a team. And we've been together for 2 weeks, but it feels like a lot longer because I feel like I know them. I feel like they know each other. And those things are huge because when you have games coming up and we hit the ground running with East Stroudsburg, I think, you got to be ready. And so I think we accomplished that this preseason.
You mentioned starting with East Stroudsburg. You start the season with 4 games in 7 days. How do you manage that?
Yeah, that's a little unusual, and I think that we've been talking about it with the players for a long time, in that they have to be prepared mentally, physically, emotionally. That's not the typical trend to play that many games in such a short period of time. But I don't want to wake up after the 4th game and go, oh shoot, now we're ready. I think that we have to be prepared, every single game to win as many as possible so we can get to the conference tournament, which is a goal for us.
For those of you listening right now on the Bear Country Sports Network, when we begin the LHU football pregame, we'll update you on the result of that home opener against East Stroudsburg. That is 2 p.m. on Thursday. We will see your team, Coach Brown, on Monday, September the 5th, on Labor Day, as you host Ohio Valley. We'll close out with the One for Fun for Kathy Brown. And tonight's One for Fun, what is a song you know all of or almost all of the words to?
The national anthem. Okay.
Very timely right now.
I am a fan of Meghan Trainor. Don't tell my husband and my children. And All About That Bass has to be a great song for every woman that wants to sing and dance. So that's one of my favorites.
Kathy, we really appreciate you taking the time. Again, Lock Haven University head women's soccer coach Kathy Brown, thank you for the time and good luck opening 2016.
Thank you.
The Bear Country 99.9.
Welcome back to the LHU Coaches Show. If you are with us at Haywood's on the Green, great to have you with us this Tuesday night. If you're listening on the Bear Country Sports Network, we are about 50 minutes from the kickoff of the 2016 Lock Haven University football season as the Bald Eagles go on the road to meet up with Clarion. For those of you interested in checking out the show in the future, we will be here every Tuesday night from 7 to 7:30 at Haywood's. That'll be through the fall and winter sports seasons. And so excited to be joined right now by second-year Lock Haven University head football coach David Tanner. Coach Tanner, it's just about time for football.
Yes, it is. We're right now. We just finished up with our Thursday practice, and we got 48 hours of victory. The last 48 hours in our preparation process gets us ready to go in and play against Clarion here on Thursday night.
Looking back as we start to move forward, the first step in any offseason, assessing the previous season, how would you assess the 2015 season?
Well, the 2015 season, I think the biggest thing that we did was we made the necessary steps from a cultural development and a psychological development. We started the season last year, and we're really a team that was consistently looking up for when the sky was going to fall. By midseason, we had gotten ourselves competitive in a game against East Stroudsburg. We lost the game by 3 points, and we were, as a team, we were just very happy to be competitive. At the end of the year, after picking up a couple wins, we lost in double overtime to Bloomsburg, and what I saw was a team that had a chip on their shoulder, and you could tell if we could have played another 4 quarters that day, we want to line it up and play. So that carried over into our off season and really carried over for our coaches in the recruiting season and the preparation season, even going through spring ball.
How do you cope with that progression, knowing it takes time and it's a step-by-step thing, but you mentioned East Stroudsburg being happy to compete. I know from your perspective, there's no happiness in competing. You want that game. So how do How do you manage that between what the players are thinking and what you want them to be thinking?
Well, I mean, number one, everything's a process, and you focus on the process that it takes to build a championship program, and then you'll end up building a championship program the right way. We have to develop a culture of 1-2 tempo in us, is what our goal was and is, to continue to do that. So we focus on that process, and while the results may not be exactly the outcomes that you want at the time, they're a building block. The results of yesterday help build the future tomorrow. So we're making those steps, and I think as coaches and as players, none of us are very patient, so obviously want those things to happen as quick as possible, but there's still a process, and you don't deviate from that process, and if you have good level 5 leadership in your program, you'll make those steps.
When you talk about the future, you're talking about bringing in fresh blood. Recruiting goals, what were they for your program in the offseason?
Well, our recruiting goals is, number one, we wanted to get out and go get some of the best football players in the state of Pennsylvania. We recruited everywhere from Philadelphia all the way to Pittsburgh. At signing day, we signed 40 individuals to a great class of not only talented athletes, but great young men that they've come in here in camp in the fall, and they haven't disappointed as far as their engagement and their desire to be great, and have really adhered and bought into the culture, and we're excited about working with them. There's a lot of young talent in the program. Obviously, we got to continue to develop them every single day and invest in their mentorship.
What did you ask of that recruiting class over the summer?
I mean, we tell them from the day that they signed that they need to be invested in being a bald eagle. So I mean, we send out voluntary optional weight training programs to get to them right away. We send out information to them that's about our culture and our development plan, what we do with our platform for success, how we're going to work to develop their passion, their work ethic, their integrity, their selflessness and enthusiasm, and how through that we'll develop leadership and confidence and give ourselves the opportunity to achieve competitive greatness.
How challenging is it over the course of the summer to track whether they're being consistent in the things you're asking of them, or is that something where you'll see them when camp starts and you'll see who's done it and who hasn't?
Well, I mean, obviously when they show up, you get a chance to see which guys have shown great self-discipline from the start. There's two types of discipline, I think, when you're dealing with athletics. You can force coach discipline upon your athletes, but that's short term. That's only going to happen when it's in front of you. So we teach self-discipline. If you have a self-disciplined individual, those are the ones that are going to become true leaders. And to build a championship program, and make no doubt about it, that's our goal, is to develop a championship program. You need to have self-disciplined leadership.
You're listening and taking in the LHU Coaches Show presented by the Bear Country Sports Network. Week 1 of 26 coaches shows. If you're with us at Haywood's on the Green on Tuesday night, that's fantastic. If you're listening on the Bear Country Sports Network, we're about 45 minutes away from Lock Haven University football at Clarion, and we are with right now Lock Haven head football coach David Kaynor. And Coach Kaynor, we talked about the recruits, also a large crop of returnees. What did you ask of them over the summer?
Well, first off, we asked them to be dedicated year-round and to developing themselves. And there were several guys that stayed up here the entire summer. Our offensive line, our entire offensive line was up here the entire summer. Our quarterback was up here the entire summer. We had a couple of the receivers that were up here the entire summer. So they got the opportunity to work together. And, they dedicated a lot of time in order to better themselves. Defensively, we had several of our defensive linemen, a couple of our key linebackers that stayed the entire summer, along with, we had some defensive backs that came in late in the summer and really dedicated themselves to develop themselves physically. But it all started really with the offseason, what we asked them to do, and set an expectation that every single day, we want to work to get one more than you. You have one opportunity at today, win today, and tomorrow the first thought in your mind needs to be, somebody did more than me yesterday. I don't know who it is, but today I'm getting one more than them.
How do guys benefit from staying in Lock Haven with their teammates over the summer?
Oh, it's invaluable. I mean, you can't place a value on it, and it relates to the fact that they sacrifice together. We're at the Division II level, so these guys aren't on scholarship during the summer, so they choose to stay here. They choose to go out and get jobs and work and pay their rent and pay for their classes. And while they're here, they're dedicated to each other. So it's really a collaborative self-sacrifice towards the overall goal of the program. And that's what us is. We talk about 1-2 tempo and us. That's what us is. It's selflessness and it's integrity of the process.
How much did it help the coaching staff and the program to have a full off season this year?
Oh, it's extraordinary. We talk about it. In the spring of the year, you get the opportunity to develop without emotional influence, meaning that you'll have a practice. You got basically 48 hours between practice to 72 hours in between practices to digest that, to focus on developing the fundamental skills necessary to be successful. You really get an opportunity without emotion influence in it to develop a strong commitment to excellence. And so having that during the off season through spring ball and through our off season training and through the recruiting process is a huge part of the process. And I say this all the time, you only rise to the level of your preparation. You can't rise to an occasion, so you need to be able to prepare. So having that off season for our coaching staff and for our team was irreplaceable.
Joined right now by Lock Haven University head football coach David Kaynor. You're listening and taking in the Lock Haven University Coaches Show presented by the Bear Country Sports Network. When we come back, we will talk about the preseason camp and also look ahead to week 1. This is the Lock Haven University Coaches Show presented by
Bear Country 99.9.
Welcome back to the LHU Coaches Show. If you're at Haywood's on the Green this Tuesday night, we're thrilled you are with us. If you're listening on the Bear Country Sports Network, it is now just 40 minutes until kickoff of 2016 Lock Haven University football at Clarion. Jonathan Schwab sitting next to Lock Haven University head football coach David Kaynor. And coach, preseason camp, what were the goals coming in?
Oh, in preseason camp, it's first off is to really evaluate all of our personnel. And we start a process by which we install our entire offense over a 4-day period, our entire defense over that same 4-day period, and then we get a chance to evaluate our personnel, look at the retention level, the returners, look at the learning levels of the incomers, newcomer group. And then once we do that, then we start to transition into really getting ourselves into game prep mode for Clarion University in that first game. So, that was the goal, was to get ourselves into that position and to, create a situation and a support network that inspires and drives excellence in what we do.
Within that context, what have you gained from the scrimmages you've held during this preseason?
Well, we ran two full speed scrimmages, so full live scrimmages in camp. We got an opportunity to see a few of the younger guys perform, and we have some young guys that as the season develops, we expect some really good things from on both sides of the ball. Starting on the defensive side, Destin Woody is a young man that's going to be competing for a starting position at the linebacker position, so we got a chance to be able to see him. We also got an opportunity to assimilate or gel really a linebacking core that we added. Kevin Chappell, who is a transfer from Urbana University, who's actually statistically, right now he's third career active leaders in sacks in the nation right now. So with 22 career sacks going into the season. So get a chance for those guys to kind of gel together. We also, from an offensive side in those scrimmages, we got a chance to see a couple young guys that we expect to contribute quite a bit. Ralph Island did a great job at tailback for us, and we expect to see him do some good things to complement Malik Harris. We also look for some good things out of John Ford, to transfer from Shippensburg. That's kind of a multi-dimensional back that can carry the ball for us, but also be a blocking back. And then young receivers, there's a lot of dynamic speed that we have that showed well in those scrimmages between Niceer Minigratz, Shaheed Brown, Lukias White. Those guys showed some explosiveness. Kaif Williams, who's really stepped up recently in the last few days too. So, get an opportunity to really evaluate them in camp and see what guys are going to help us throughout the entire season.
What are the nuances you're looking for that show you that a young guy just recruited is ready for Division II college football?
Well, when we're recruiting, we're going to recruit individuals that have the athletic talent to be successful at the Division II level. It really comes down to their mental and emotional preparation. Those are the two toughest things, because you ask a freshman to come in, and when they come in, they got 19 days until they're getting ready to go play in a game. So right now they're 19 days in. They got 48 hours till they play the first game. That's quick. They're going away from home the first time, a lot of them. So there's a lot of emotional side of it as far as just getting themselves acclimated to the processes that are there. So it's that acclimation, and it's really learning the game of football. We teach the game of football. We don't just teach plays on offense and defense. We want they need to understand what we do but they have to have application-based thinking. So that's the biggest thing. It's more the mental and emotional side of it. Some guys that happen for quick, others need more repetitions at it. And we're very proud of how our young group of freshmen have handled coming in and getting themselves in a position where, as this season goes on, they're going to be a force.
Sitting alongside Waukegan University head football coach David Kaynor on the LHU Coaches Show. And Coach Kaynor, almost a 3-week preseason this year, a little bit longer than usual. As a coaching staff, how have you dealt with that?
Well, I mean, we had, as far as before school actually started, it was an extended period of time, which we really needed in order to spend as much time as possible as far as teaching. Allows us to not rush the installation process and not rush the getting to preparation for Clarion University. So, we were able to spend a little bit more time, and I think that's going to pay off in the long run when it comes down to fundamental understanding of the game of football. So I think, we also, because of it, we had to build a little bit of some downtime into it too. I mean, we went to a pool for a day in which I got kind of, prodded into doing a backflip, which showed up on some social media. But you got to have a little bit of fun while we're preparing also.
How was your form on the backflip?
I don't know. Somebody said they deducted a half a point for over rotation, and the Olympics was going on at the time. So it was a little bit of I guess I overdid a little bit. It's been about 5 years since I've been on a diving board. So
starting the season for the second straight year on a Thursday, what kind of impact does that have on your team and your preparation?
Well, I know last year going into it, and I think I may have underestimated the importance of putting ourselves into game-like situations as far as playing under the lights. Last year we did it one time in our preparation process. This year in the lead-up, we've practiced at night 9 times. And it was the purpose behind that was, when you take signals from the sideline and the guys are taking signals from the other side of the field, it's a little different seeing it at night than in daylight. There's different nuances as far as catching the ball under lights and things. So we tried to put them into that situation to be able to play a night game because we're going to do it twice this year. We got the first game against Clarion University, and then late in the season we actually play Westchester in a night game too. So it's going to happen a couple times. So I thought it was good for us to be able to practice under the lights.
We'll talk more about your opponent, Clarion, during the pregame interview, which comes up in about 15 minutes' time as we're just about set for the start of the Waukegan University football pregame if you're listening on the Bear Country Sports Network. But for the folks on this Tuesday night at Haywood's on the Green, what is your brief synopsis of what to expect from Clarion?
Well, we expect Clarion to be a very well-coached team. They're a disciplined team, and last year their defense proved themselves to be a very active defense that pursued to the football, created and forced a lot of turnovers. We need to have great ball security. Offensively, they return a couple guys out on the perimeter with Lehman and Ginevro that are very good receivers on the outside, and they return a very experienced senior quarterback that did some good things. At the tailback position, they're solid, and I think Del Reese Williams is a very physical back that finishes going forward. They're going to be a challenging group to play against, something that we're looking forward to playing against.
Our first one for fun with Waukegan head football coach David Kaynor. Coach, what was the first live sporting event you ever went to?
First live sporting event that I ever went to. Let me think here. I have to think back a little bit. It's probably a Columbus Clippers game growing up, which is a minor league baseball team that was in the Columbus area. So I spent quite a bit of time there in my youth.
Was that back when they were the AAA affiliate for the New York Yankees?
For the New York Yankees. So I got a chance to see Don Mattingly play then. I got a chance to see Steve Balboni. I don't know if he stands out as much as Don Mattingly, but he was my guy to watch. He led the minor leagues in home runs a couple years, so he was a guy that I seen play in person. And as I got a little bit older, I got to see Deion Sanders there for a minor league stint on a rehab stint. So I spent a little bit of time at the ballpark when I was young.
Waukegan head football coach David Kaynor, thank you so much for the time and good luck at Clarion.
Well, thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
For those of you at Haywood's on the Green on this Tuesday night, again, this is the first of 26 shows. Thank you for coming out tonight. Please continue to come out. For those of you listening on the Bear Country Sports Network, coming up next, it is the pregame leading into kickoff. Waukegan University football at Clarion. For our entire Bear Country Sports Network crew, I'm Jonathan Schwab, and this has been the Lock Haven University Coaches Show.